Good day. I take pleasure of sharing to you about the life and work of our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal. The life and works of Dr. Jose Rizal is aligned to our current trend in education, such as constructiveness, integrative, interactive, collaborative, inquiry-based, brain-based, research-based, and reflective teaching. I take pleasure of sharing to you the first part about Rizal and his works, that our topic consists of about 11 chapters, and for the meantime, I will just take to you in summary 4 chapters. Number 1, Introduction to the course of the study of Rizal under the mandate of our law, Republic Act 1425. Number 2, the Philippines century hence, the time during Rizal. And number 3, Rizal's life, family, childhood, and early education. And lastly, 4, Rizal's life, his higher education, and life abroad. So in number 1, as I've told you, Introduction of Republic Act 1425, otherwise known as a law that mandates the study of Rizal, to include the study of Rizal in the school curriculum, both in public and private. Republic Act 1425 took effect on June 12, 1956, and it includes the following course description. It is an act to include in the school curriculum, both public and private, colleges and universities, courses on the life, works, and writings of Jose Rizal, particularly his 2 famous novels, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, and authorized its printing and distribution. What are the objectives of the law? The objectives of the law are as follows: to rededicate the ideals of freedom and nationalism for which the heroes lived and died for. To honor particularly our national hero as a patriot, Jose Rizal, who devoted his life works that shaped the national character of a Filipino for love of country and love for freedom. And number 3, to be constant and inspiring source of patriotism with which the minds of our youth, especially during the formative age of our students, that this essence of patriotism, love of country, be infused in their minds and hearts. The main proponent of this law is Senator Claro M. Recto. And in the Senate, Senator Jose P. Laurel made a compromise to clear the issues pro and against this law. And contributorily, President Ramon Magsaysay created a wide propaganda, a program to educate our youth the students, because during that time, sometime in the year 1950s, we were faced by the threat of communism. The political ideology that prompted the making of this law prevalent in our country was communism. And notably, as I have mentioned, the two great novels, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, is the most outstanding literary work made by Rizal. Why do we have to study Rizal? First of all, it is mandated by law. And secondly, to comply with the school requirement of imbibing the virtue of love of country, love for freedom. And in our study of Rizal, there is always a byword. The youth is the hope of the fatherland, who are obliged to keep in their libraries the adequate number of copies of the original and unexpurgated edition of Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. Answer: school, universities, and colleges. So that ends our first chapter. The second chapter was the life of Rizal during the 19th century. The 19th century was marked by tremendous social change. Europe prospered like never before, and England led the way as the growing imperial power. We take note that during that time, there was forced labor. In Polo and Servicio, the polistas were called workers and the labor is called Polo. The members of the Principalia were exempted from forced labor by paying what is known as falia. The evil of the society during the 19th century is called frailocracy, which means that the government was controlled more by the friars, as there was union of church and state. The second evil during the 19th century was the lack of representation of the Filipinos to the Spanish Cortes. The middle class of the Filipino workers educated in Spain was called Principalia, and the middle class families that were given the opportunities to administer friar estates were called Ilustrados. We can discuss briefly the evils during the 19th century in the life of Rizal. First of all, you have racial discrimination. Second, forced labor. Third, lack of representation in the Spanish Cortes. Fourth, frailocracy, injustice, and many others. How can we describe the influence of the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century? It enabled the Filipinos to trade to foreign countries and improve their living by sending hemp and other products that was of a demand from foreign countries. So much so, the opening of the Suez Canal helped in the improvement of the Philippine economy sometime that year, the year 1834. Another factor that improved the trade or the economy of the Philippines during that time was the so-called galleon trade, because it shortened the route of travel from Europe, from Philippines to Spain, which before took 2 months, but upon the opening of the Suez Canal, the route was shortened to 1 month. How do you think that the political, economic, and social events during the 19th century shaped the ideals of Rizal for nationalism and Filipino identity? It created a great impact on Rizal's crave for freedom from Spanish abuses. Why do you think there is importance to understand the context of Rizal during the 19th century? 19th century was a challenging time that made Rizal a hero. It was a demand of his time. It was a demand of his time that steered the heart of Rizal after seeing the sacrifices and the bitterness that the Filipinos suffered from the hands of the Spaniards. That ends our discussion of the second part, the life of Rizal during the 19th century. There are specific cognitive ideas that I would like to share to you about chapter 2. I already mentioned that the waterway that connects Europe and Asia, creating direct shipment without having to circumvent the African continent, was the opening of the Suez Canal. We said that the hardship in the Philippines aggravated due to our lack of representation to the Spanish Cortes. But notably, we were given a chance to be represented, and the first Filipino to attend the Spanish Cortes is known as Jose Alberto. What was the name given to the Philippines during the 19th century that influenced the life of Rizal? The name of the Philippines given to the name of the Philippines given to us was Mistress of the World. Which status was given to middle-class Filipinos who were educated in Spain and were exempted to nationalist ideas? They were called the Principalia. What were the evils of colonization? Maladministration of justice, inequality before the law, racial prejudice, and forced labor. Who were the three priests who were executed by the Spaniards for lack of evidence? They were called Gumbursa. Which terms were used as payment given by the wealthy to be exempted from forced labor? That is called falia. What do you call the government that is ruled by the friars during that time? Frailocracy. The following are exempted from rendering forced labor: teachers, principalia, and government officials. In order to enhance our trading capacities, the following were of a great contribution: the opening of Suez Canal, galleon trade, and the demand of foreign countries to the Philippine product. What do you call the period? What do you call this period in the 19th century that enabled the rise of Philippine economy? That is called the Industrial Revolution. So we say in conclusion that the 19th century was a period of massive changes in Europe. Next question, cognitive knowledge. What year was Manila opened to Freeport? 1834. That ends our discussion for the second chapter. The third chapter is all about Rizal's life, family, childhood, and education. So I take the pleasure of taking a little rest. See you later.